teachers, and you get probably a neighboring school has more teachers. So this was information which also allowed us to make certain internal changes, internal adjustments. Even now we are in the process, because you can get a school that is already there, doesn't have now teachers, and yet there is a neighboring school which has probably more mathematics teachers or science, who can be transferred to those other schools, so that the teaching can be able to go on. But I have taken into consideration what you have said, that we will also be able to improve on the document. We will be able to arrange it as we move forward. But it was just an instrument to assist us even internally to get some information which we thought was necessary for decision making. I want to assure you, Honorable Chairperson, that the contractors are equally very much concerned, but you also know there are so many actors in making the final decision, and so many factors also to make it possible for payment to be done. As I've said, I'm following up the National Treasury. Indeed, this government is committed and very determined to make sure that there are no pending bills, the contractors are paid, because that is the only way that we can be able to have the economy moving, such that as much as I'm not able to give the specific time frame, get assured from me that we will be able to make a follow-up, probably again in the next meeting with this committee, because I'm sure we will be engaging each and every other time. I should be able to make a report on the progress being made on this particular area. Thank you. The illegal levies, that it is a responsibility of each and every one of us, because where we get parents, even a member of parliament giving us information, be assured that we will be able to act effectively and firmly on the information we get. So kindly let us have a concerted and a collaborative effort in this, so that anyone who is going against this, what the government has said, we can be able to take the necessary action once we receive the information. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me open the floor for members. 3 questions. Let me the same members. I'll give Honorable Abdul. Straight to the question, Abdul. And then Honorable Nabi. Who else? Yes. Straight to the question, yes.
Thank you, Chair. I know he insists I got straight to the question, because he knows I'm a pastoralist, and pastoralists are very verbal sometimes. I will try to be straight to the point, Chair. I appreciate. I agree with Honorable Milemba on the question of the checklist, and thank you, Minister, for clarifying that even further. Basically, I felt the checklist was completely against the spirit of the Section 34(2) of the Basic Education Act, which you mentioned there. The junior secondary is part of the CBC, which has been 9 years. You know, we've just started feeling the impact of CBC when there was this transition from grade 6 to grade 7. I think it took the ministry too long to ascertain which schools can host junior secondary and which ones cannot host, and the question of criteria. For all those 9 years, if those factors were considered, perhaps we would not have had the challenges we've had towards the end. But your answer is very inspiring, especially in the bullet where you say the ministry has implemented affirmative action in geographically expansive, low density and security prone areas to allow primary schools that lack requisite enrollment. It was very worrying in some of the counties. Like Turkana, for example, 70,000 square kilometer. It's like 3 countries combined, Rwanda, Burundi, you know, and some of the schools which are considered as feeder schools might be several hundred kilometers from the school which were allowed to host the junior secondary. But I would want to know if this affirmative action is actually in place now, so that if this communication has reached the education officers on the ground, and they are implementing this affirmative action, because I think there are some schools which are still confused as to what will happen to the students, because naturally when we had the older system, parents expected once you open school, that child was automatically moved to class 7 without necessarily being told this is a feeder school or this or that. But without confusion, is this affirmative action working so that we know whether all those schools which are affected in our constituencies and all over the country can now use that affirmative action to enroll junior secondary students? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. CS, I'm on the issue of levies. What efforts have you made to facilitate your officers at sub-county level to supervise schools to ensure compliance with the ministry's directives, not only on levies, even other issues of supervision and management of schools? Thank you.
And my question, Waziri, is on bills. Waziri, I know it is good manners to pay bills in business. There is this group of contractors, 1,107, who have not been paid. There is the aspect of the PFM Act is very clear on the issues of interest and all that. I know you've not committed yourself, and I want to commend you, especially on the issues that you raised on the financial status of the country. But it would be good, Waziri, to give us, maybe within this financial time, what effort are you doing to ensure that these contractors are paid? Because their payment will impact the progression of the economy. Because the moment you don't pay them, they are sold out, they go under, our economy goes down. So I told you that is one of my other question. Number two is a very good work ethic that you have introduced, that you can't procure any good or services without a budget. That is on item C. But it has come to attention, even in this committee, that some officers within your sector actually go against this rule. They procure without having the resources. What action are you taking against that? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. To start with the first question, that it took a little bit longer for junior secondary schools to be in place. Most, you know that when this administration came in, the entire education system would have been in total chaos. It was a godsend opportunity because we were able to get back and get things right. How? Because Kenyans had not been given adequate opportunity as enshrined in the constitution of this country for public participation in an important area like this one. So immediately we came into place, there was a presidential working party, and it is Kenyans who said the grade 7 should be domiciled in primary schools. Otherwise, the situation would have been the other way around, and you would have imagined where we would have been as of now. So that's why it took a little bit longer, because when we came in, we had to do things as given out in the constitution of this country, and I assure you that as of now, we are moving on and mitigating on whatever challenges we have on the way. My peers will be able to take you through the affirmative action because we have a document in that and the steps that we have been able to take. Mheshimiwa Honorable, through the chair, Honorable Nabwera, yes, one of the major issues we have had is that our deputy county directors, including the county directors, you give us billions which we give to schools in the form of capitation. There is no proper monitoring, there is no funding to these officers, so sometimes you get, they're just there in their offices without doing the necessary work that they are supposed to do. When we came into press, what we have done, and I think you have gotten that information, we have sought the permission of National Treasury and His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya that Indeed, for us to realize our objectives and goals as education, we have to facilitate these officers, and we have set aside 1.8 billion, which we are going to use in procuring vehicles for each and every sub-county director. And from there going forward, we will also be able to give them some authority to incur expenditure, such that they have money for fuel, because you know the situation was that a director of education or a deputy county director is depending on a principal. The same person that is supposed to supervise is the same person that is giving him transport. So oversighting such a person becomes a problem. And I think we have come up with the necessary medium measures concerning that. And this financial year, we are in the process of procuring those vehicles, such that our officers will be more effective, most likely, than the situation was before. Honorable Chair, I assure you that before the end of the financial year, the contractors, our contractors, and I did say that we are sorry because you all know the way the economy has been. We don't like talking about it so much, where we took over from. It was challenging, but we are overcoming those challenges, and I assure you that I'm on it, and before the financial year ends, that is the priority area that we should be able to pay those contractors. Procurement, you have said, we are, if you come, each and every directorate, we have said, we have to work on a directorate, on a procurement plan. A procurement plan is based on the budget. You can't indicate anything in the procurement plan which is actually not provided for in the budget. So we are sticking to that. Anything outside the budget, accounting officers, my accounting officers here, the PS, he knows it very well that he cannot incur any expenditure which is not provided for in the budget. And with this, I will ask my peers to cover the affirmative action question, with your permission, Chairperson.
Peers.
Thank you very much, Chair and members. As already mentioned by the Cabinet Secretary, is that we have delegated the responsibilities of registering and affirming schools that will run junior secondary to our county directors. And therefore, on the affirmative action, because they are in those particular places, then we've given them latitude to be able to sort out those particular problems. And that communication has been done to our officers. So I would want to assure members that because of that particular decision, they are better placed to know their jurisdictions and areas that they run than ourselves in Nairobi. And therefore, we believe that they will be able to sort out their issues fast. I would want to assure members, just as the Cabinet Secretary has mentioned, on facilitating our officers that this morning, as we were leaving for this particular cabinet, this particular parliamentary committee meeting, that my colleague at the National Treasury has given me a letter giving us approval to spend 1.3 billion shillings to facilitate the procurement of vehicles to support our officers. Similarly, in the next financial year's budget, I would want to acknowledge and appreciate this committee because you've increased for us funding to quality assurance systems by more than 300 million, which will make it also possible with the facilitation on mobility and the increased funding to our quality assurance. Then we can assure you members that the classroom observation, school visitation, and we have also enhanced our national education management system on school visitation. And I can tell you members now, we can be able to monitor from the headquarters on real time to know which of our officers are in which school at what time. So with the national education management system, this has been enhanced, and with all the facilitation now with the vehicles and the increased budget, we can assure you that they will be better. On procurement, Chair, you know it is illegal to initiate any procurement process in a situation that a budget has not been appropriated for by the National Assembly. So that in itself we cannot start, because it's against the PMF Act and it's against the Public Procurement and Disposal Act. So anybody, be it in a parastatal, who initiates such procurement will be doing an illegality, and the law for sure will be able to take its course. Thank you, members.
Thank you. Because of time, we'll go back to Honorable Mboko Milemba.
No, nothing big. Yes. Honorable Chair, I want to thank the Committee of Education. You have done very well to push government. I've been following very clearly, especially on JSS, and also want to thank the Ministry who worked extremely hard to be where we are. And there's some hope now. I would wish to say that please, CS, this ministry has a very big structure that was created and is paid for by government. But this structure doesn't work. The only people who have been working have been people at the center here in Nairobi. But I'm happy you are now starting to operationalize the structure. It will be very good for everyone, so that those people on the ground have a budget to operate. Otherwise, they have been part of the people, your own officers, people who even make the head teachers charge extra levies. But now I can see this hope. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Milemba. Yes, Honorable Machogu, you have a point of order?
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. I don't know whether I'll be in order to, there's a member, Honorable Umar, had asked me to step in for her and raising question number 3. Will I be in order to maybe stand in on her behalf?
You are standing in for question number 003?
03 of 2020.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Maybe we'll allow you to state the questions on her behalf, but before you do that, I just want to make a comment, especially on the issue of investment. Let me comment to Waziri and peers and the department that as a Minister of Education, you have a very, very huge investment running into 400 billion shillings. And in every management, there is a cost of management of that particular investment. You invest 400 billion shillings, and you have a very good organogram of officers running from the field officers all the way to the ministry. If you go back to the days of Situma, the days when the officers were moving around schools, you will have value for your schools, for the money. Waziri, you sent a few weeks ago 15,000 shillings. Is it how many billion shillings to schools? The 844, you normally send 22 and 15,000. If you don't monitor that money, just by lack of vehicles, lack of fuel, it does not add up. For investing 200 billion, then you say you don't have 100 million to monitor. I want to commend you for that. And actually, you need to give the officers the necessary per diem, the necessary fuel, the necessary movement to ensure that what you've invested gets the fruit. And the fruit is the results of the student. Thank you so much for that. That's Honorable Machogu.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I would wish first and foremost to thank you for the opportunity given to raise a question which had earlier been raised by my colleague, Honorable Umar, who has not been able to come in due to some emergencies. But Chair, question number 3 of 023 asked to the Cabinet Secretary for Education. 1. Could the Cabinet Secretary state the tax exemption measures on sanitary pads the government has put in place to ensure they are tax exempt? 2. What measures is the government putting in place to ensure equal and timely distribution of sanitary pads to all school-going girls, especially those in rural areas and informal settlements? Question 3. What plans has the ministry put in place to ensure efficient and sustainable ways of addressing the challenges experienced by the young girls as a result of menstrual cycles. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Waziri.
Chairperson, the first question on taxes on sanitary pads. Following this letter, this question, Honourable Chairperson, because you know the ministry concerned with taxes for them. I do not want to imagine, so we are here to get feedback on whether there can be a waiver on this and what type of taxes are imposed on this. So probably in the next meeting I can be able to give the specific answer once I get the reply to my letter from National Treasury on the issue of taxes. The second question, Chairperson, is that sanitary towers are disputed to us at P40 stage in all public primary schools across the country. The towers are disputed based on the enrollment of girls in grade 6, 7, and 8 in each school, as provided by the county directors of education in all our 47 counties. After the procuring process is done, sanitary towers are disputed between the months of February and March every year, with 9 packets provided for each of the 9 running months. The second aspect of the question is that the government provides a budgetary allocation for sanitary towers every financial year. In the current financial year, 2022-2023, Kenya shillings 470 million has been allocated for the program. This will support the procurement of 11,777,444 packets of the pads for 1,682,492 girls in public primary schools. The government also provides logistical support for the distribution of sanitary towels to all public primary schools and security for the transportation and delivery of sanitary towels to schools. To ensure that the pads reach the intended runners, the Ministry conducts annual monitoring and evaluation of the program. Each school has a female teacher with the assigned mandate of guiding the young girls on hygiene methods of managing their normal human process. And the chairperson, I also want to say that this is one very critical area. I think we have had a discussion in Parliament where the county members of Parliament feel that this particular mandate should be transferred from the Ministry of Education to them, and I think even Ministry of Public Service. But our stand has been that yes, if it is so done, then we have to do it in collaboration, because we have the structure right up to each and every school. We have the county directors structure, which other ministries or other entities might not have. But I think that decision will not be made by us, but by Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you. If you have any subsequent questions.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And thank you, Bwana CS, for responding to the question. However, on this was about equal and timely distribution of these pads to our very needy girls, especially those in the rural areas and informal settlements. Bwana Waziri, the information, for example, if I pick, for example, Luanda, where I come from, the last time these pads were distributed to our girls was in February last year, the year of 2021, meaning that the year of 2022, nothing was given to them. This year, we are in April, 2 months short of the financial year. This has not happened. And therefore, the element of equal and timely distribution comes into play. Because if indeed Parliament did approve a budget of 470 million for this financial year, we're only 2 months shy of the end of the budget. Yet this very critical and important sanitary requirement for our young girls is not unavailable. It therefore means that we've really been able to expose these young girls to situations that we could have been able to avoid. Thank you.
Yes, Waziri, you can respond to that, and then I open the floor.
Yeah, thank you. What I'm aware is that we have procured the parts and when the procurement process, and my peers can be able to indicate specifically which areas have received and which areas have not received up to now, peers.
Chair, we can confirm for the 2022-2023 financial year that we did conclude the procurement process. The procured firms are already out engaging on the distribution of the birds. It just started 7-8 days ago. So for 2022-2023, it may have been 1 month late because usually we do it towards the end of February, but we are still within it because it is March. So the distribution, the procurement is concluded.
Thank you. Let me open the floor. And before that, let me ask the members who came in late to introduce themselves. Honorable Murada.
Good morning, and my name is Anne Murada, the County Member of Parliament for Kiambu.
Thank you. There's Honorable Barto and Honorable Bara and Toetich.
Good morning. My name is Eve Obara, Kabondo Kasipul constituency.
Good morning. My name is Professor Phyllis Barto, Member of Parliament, Moiben.
Good morning. My name is Timothy Kipchumba Toroitich, Member of Parliament, Marakwet West.
Thank you. I'd open the floor for questions. Here's Honorable Eve Wells and Honorable Barto and Honorable Nabi. Just one question each. Because of time.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to know if the distribution that you are talking about is for the year 2021-2022, because we have not received anything for the financial year 2021-2022. And I'm a bit surprised that you're saying that distribution is underway for this financial year. Thank you. Kabondo Kasipul constituency.
My question is, have you considered increasing the number of these packets from 9 to 12 now that one calendar year has 12 months, and it is, from experience, a girl can use 1 packet per month? What happens to the 3 months?
Thank you. Yes, Honorable Nabi.
Chairman, I know this can be slightly emotive. CS, do you have a feedback mechanism for the distribution of pads? Because I can assure you, in my constituency, Lugari, in Kakamega County, the last time pads were seen and they were getting 4 packets was in 2020, actually just before the corona closure.
Thank you, Honorable Murada.
I would also want to ask on the same, at least my fellow colleagues are talking of constituencies that are very far from Nairobi. I'm just in the neighboring constituency in Nairobi, and every school you attend, the greatest thing that the pupils and the teachers will ask is whether the office of the woman rep could be able to supply them with the parts. So I'm still not understanding where these ones are given. If when you visit any school, that's the only question they will ask. Thank you.
On the bottom.
Yeah, mine is in connection with what Honorable Wamrata has asked on the issue of distribution. Chair, there was a time these sanitary pads were being done by alongside the women representatives, and I'm speaking on their behalf because the last time we went to for an appointment with His Excellency the President, the women representatives had requested if this function can be done either by the Ministry of Gender, as we decide as members which ministry will do that, whether it's the Ministry of Education or Gender. We were requesting, is there a way that we can do this alongside the women representatives so that we can also account for this? Because when we are on the ground, usually the question is, where are the sanitary towels? Because they expect the Mama counties to be doing this. Thank you, Chair.
Maybe my parting question and advice, Waziri. You've done very well on book distribution. It is quite commendable. You have set a standard in the world. Why don't you pick the same on sanitary towels? You can reach every primary school, and even teachers at times, and even the stakeholders are complaining you have oversupplied. The libraries and everywhere is full. You have a handful of sanitary towels. Can't you handle it the way you've been handling the others, so that we remove this issue of lack of it or no supply at all? Because your success on the other side should be mirrored on this one, so that we finish that. Back to Waziri.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson. One is that, of course, we know it is supposed to be 12 months. I think the analysis here was that the time they are in school is 9 months, and that the other 3 months they are at home. So it's something that we require to think about. Even the packets that they are issued, even some of them when they go back home with the packets, of course, the other sisters, the parents might also be in need of these gadgets. So that is one area that we would have to look into. We might not be aware of what happened in 2021, 2022 financial year, but I want to talk of 2022, 2023 financial year. With all due respect, the women reps, part of the delay, because, there was like, do we hand over the money? Do we do the procurement and then hand over the sanitary towels to the women reps to distribute? So there was a little bit of time wasted in between as we were thinking what to be done. So it came to a time, because your leadership also came to the office plus the CS, public service, and I think it took us a little bit of time to try to make a decision. And when we realized that this financial year is actually coming to an end, we say no, let us do the distribution, let us do the giving out, and then as we move forward, other decisions now, whether it is you to procure and distribute or whether it is public service, will be made. So that gives the answer why we became a little bit late in the distribution. One thing I want to undertake before this committee, Honorable Chair and the members, is that personally, plus my peers, I think because it's only about a week that as the CS has confirmed they were sent out, in another 2 weeks' time, we want to ensure that they are gone to each and every school. And that undertaking I personally make before this committee. Moving forward, I think we should be able to finalize the discussions that are going on between ourselves, means of public service, and also the county women reps, as to which way we will be able to do it better moving forward, particularly in the next financial year. Thank you.
Chair. Yes, a follow-up, Chair. Thank you, Honorable CS, for the feedback. But is it possible that even as you consider doing the distribution of the sanitary towels, the ones that are already there, that you involve the 47 county MPs? Because, you know, we are only the 47 of us. And, you know, if there is goodwill to us as women representatives, it doesn't really matter where the sanitary towels will be domiciled, whether it will be at the Ministry of Education or gender. But the issue is there a way that you can involve the 47 of us?
Vice Waziri.
Yeah, I think that one is already agreed. Honorable Chair, Honorable Member, you know, that is actually for us to implement. You know, the action has already been taken. It's only now the decision as to the level of environment, whether the funds should be done by you. That is the discussion. But environment, that is mandatory. It has to be done according to even the meeting that we have had with yourselves.
Maybe from the Mheshimiwa who was sent, any parting shot on that?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Honorable CS, for having taken us through the questions. However, one gap still remains. Maybe there's a question for the CS to find out, because at least as captured by the PS, is that so far, the 2022-2023 financial year, you've already procured and distribution is on. But I do believe that once taking an office, you take an office with the assets therein, the liabilities therein, the good therein and the bad. 2021-2022, there's a gap that exists. A case in point, I think members here have been able to allude to the same. That the last time these pads were given to our girls was in 2020 financial year, 2020 calendar year. Meaning there's a gap. If indeed funds were allocated for the same, I believe these are public funds. It will be good to find, maybe as a ministry, what really happened, that our young girls were left exposed, that in the year 2021-2022, despite having a budgetary allocation, nothing was provided. Where did these funds go, or were they used for other purposes? And maybe one thing that is also coming out, I've heard you quite clearly. You've been out in the field trying to supervise the distribution of food to our kids in some areas. You've been out there looking at the distribution of textbooks, for example, but I've not heard you out there finding out did these parts really reach our girls. Maybe you need to see your office has also tried to follow up and see where is the gap, because these girls continue to suffer, and especially those of us who come from rural areas and the informal settlements. It's a pathetic situation when I see us. And therefore, goodwill from your end will really help. And I believe with the honorable county members of parliament, I'm sure we can achieve a good end to that extent. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. The honorable member is right, because chairperson, each and every time I go to a school, there are those basic things I check. If it is in an area that is affected by school feeding program, of course I go to the store, check the amount of food that is available. I also check on textbooks, the number that is supposed to go to a school, whether they have received all the textbooks or not. I was not so particular on this because I knew that we had actually not sent out the sanitary pads, so I would not have checked on this because it is me who is supposed to send. So I would not have checked on something that I had not already sent. But as I have given you the assurance that moving forward, we will be able to check on this. My PS tells me that 2021-2022 financial year, I don't know, but I'm here to confirm that they were sent out to the schools, but you know, you are in areas where there are schools. So I believe that when the members of parliament say that the sanitary pads were not supplied, then there must be something that is not right. But I want to be accountable from this financial year, such that whatever government has given for me to ensure that indeed our girls have received this, because one thing that will affect the quality of education, one thing that will affect the performance for sure, is when they don't have sanitary pads. We know the negative adverse effect that it has to our girls, and is something as a ministry we take very, very serious, and I will ensure that they reach out to our girls in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you. Thank you, Waziri and honorable members. I think we are through with the first set of questions. I want to commend Waziri and the members. Now we are on the second one. Yes, is then. Honorable Eve, you know, we have a very long table here without.
Yeah, Chair, before you close this session, CS, I think you are letting your staff in the field get off with too many things. Too many things. Because we are there with them in the constituency. And if they cannot confirm to you what they received, then we have a big problem. And this is not the first time that things fall in their hands and they are not able to give you back feedback that they either received or what happened to them, like the sanitary pads. It was very embarrassing at one point when the last CS came to my constituency and he was launching the distribution of the pads. And he arrived in the constituency. You were not there, Bwana PS, at that time, so it wasn't you. He arrived in the constituency waiting for the ministry to bring the pads so that he could launch, and there was nothing. It was the most embarrassing moment, and that was the end of 2021. And that's why I'm saying that you need to hold these people to account. They are getting away with too many things because there is no, maybe oversight, I don't know what it is in the field. But
Thank you. If I think that's an issue we said, you invest a lot with very little on management and supervision. And I think if before you came in, Waziri has really talked about it. And maybe you can just talk in passing so that we move.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
My friend, the Member of Parliament, she knows where me and her were the last financial year. So really, I would not have demanded from the officers to give me reports for the last financial year. And I said I will be able to take accountability from now going forward. I do agree with you that one serious problem that we had, I think in the ministry, when you are not able to do monitoring, when you are not able to get the feedback, then even measuring your performance, because anything that is not measured, there's also a serious problem. What we have done as a ministry, Chair, you might be able to know, the 3 directorates, these PSS, we have meetings each and every Monday. I normally rotate. Where I'm not available, the PSS Chair, the meetings. We have introduced a system now because the structure and their systems work. There's no way from your house you can be able to make sure that performance is actually taking place in each and every area. So we are making systems work. And that's why we are also empowering our officers getting feedback. Even the circulars we issue. You can issue a circular, you are not even aware whether the circular went to the place where it was supposed to get into. So we are now making sure that the systems, the structures, the way they have been made, the officers are paid by government, they are able to work for what they are paid for. So I think the systems are working and we'll be getting these reports.
Thank you, honorable members. Thank you, Waziri. We are on the second agenda, which is agenda number B. Meeting with the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Principal Secretary for Basic Education, together with Chairperson and Chief Executive of the Kenya National Examination Council. Waziri and honorable members, Our time now is 12 o'clock, and the second agenda is quite heavy. And we request that if we don't finish, we shall come back to it again so that we can actually exhaustively